Gia è una ragazza italo-americana che vive a Los Angeles e tantissimo ormai anche in Italia.
Sono Giancarla e il mio record è 52.63 in 400.
It doesn't happen overnight. I think it takes time to where you know that it's really just you versus you.
Today we are speaking with Giancarla Trevisan, two-time Italian track and field Olympian who just set a national record with her 4x400 team, and I'm excited to speak with her today because she has a lot to tell us about how to feel comfortable in your own skin and everything that she went through while figuring this out. And I think that is a very, very important topic to talk amongst the athletes.
Hi, I'm Giancarla Trevisan. I run the 400 4x4 for Italy. And I've been doing athletics / track and field for about 10 years now.
Incredible. Tell us, how did you get into track and field in the beginning?
So I initially started as a soccer player in high school, and my goal was to play in college. And like every teenage soccer player, I had dreams of playing for the U.S. women's national team. But then I tore my ACL, and my mom, she was really big on, okay, well, look, you've always been really fast. Why not just stick to track? Because I was doing track at the time, but really just to get in shape for soccer. So I was like, all right, I'll do track, see where this goes. And now I ended up here.
How did you choose your specialty in track?
So in high school, I ran the 100 and the 200. And when I got to the university level, when I got to the university level, I wasn't running fast enough to compete in the 100. And so it kind of was like, I did a 4x4 one time, and they were like, you're a 400 meter runner. And I would not pick it. I don't love the 400. It's probably the worst race that you can do. But I'm doing it, and it's always better when it's over. So
the 400 meter, when we have to do those tests, I don't know how you do it, but kudos to you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really underestimate one lap. Like when I tell people the 400 is one lap, they're like, oh, it's a distance race. I'm like, no, it's not a distance race.
So walk us through it from that moment to today.
I had a lot of hormonal issues in college, and I gained like quite a bit of weight. I couldn't get it off, and my hormones were super unbalanced, and I was not running well at all. And it was really stressful for 2.5 years, I would say.
Wow.
I don't know really what happened, to be honest, but then my last year of school, I lost all the weight. It all went away, and then my body just kind of normalized. It was really interesting. And I started running well again. And from there, my college coach was like, look, I've always had dual citizenship with Italy. And so she asked me, would you want to, try out at their Olympic trials? And I was like, I've never thought about it before. It was 2016, and she was like, why don't you just go and try it, So I go to, Olympic trials in Italy, and I don't make it. I was first one out of the final. And at the time, my husband now was my boyfriend, and he was like, look, this could be really cool. Why don't you go on this journey and pursue this? And I was like, really? And from there, it kind of just took off, and I feel like everything really worked out in the end for me to end up here and doing the program that I'm doing now.
What would you say to your younger self? So we have a lot of listeners who are aspiring Olympians, many Olympians, Paralympians. What would you say to your little self if you were listening in?
This is so funny because I would say, one, listen to your parents sometimes. Because I remember I did a race in middle school, and it was in track, and one of my friends, her dad came over and was like, Gia needs to commit to track and field. Like, track and field is her sport. And at the time I was so wrapped up in soccer and I was just like, no way, like I'm not doing that. But then second, I would say to myself, first and foremost, a lot of it is confidence and believing in yourself and taking risks. I think with skating or like track or sports that are races, it's like you have one chance and you have to take a risk and believe in yourself. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Like there will most likely be another opportunity. But with sports, like where it's like a 90-minute game or a 60-minute game, it's always next play, or I missed that rebound, but next play, you know, it's always next or etc. But with track, it's like, it's just one chance sometimes. And I think more, it's really just believing in it.
It's making sure like that at that moment you just go for it and you don't second guess everything that you've done, even though you don't feel your body, you feel like you want to throw up, you feel like you want to run away because you don't want to go. It's just like, believe in yourself, go. You have like less than 50 seconds for you, less than 5 minutes for us to just showcase 10 plus 20 plus years of work. So I love that advice, and I'll take it for myself too. Thank you.
How do you actually do that? If you're someone who's struggling with self-confidence and I'm like, oh, I want to believe in myself, what do you actually do?
So I think it's been like a process for me, for sure. I've had conversations with my coach around it. You know, he's pulled me aside before and been like, I think for you, it's in here. You know, he looks at me and he's like, it's in here. And I try not to think about it. Like the other day we were hang cleaning and he was like, let's go for a PB. And previously 2 months before we tried to do the PB and I missed it. But when I went to grab the bar, I grabbed the bar and I was like, the bar feels so heavy. I was thinking, how am I going to pull it and get under it? All this stuff I'm thinking. But then on Monday, I just tried it again. And I told myself, like, just zone out. And that's not necessarily confidence, but I think that at times, like when you shut your brain off, it's easier to do the motion, because also a lot of competition is muscle memory and you've done it in practice, you've done it a lot of times. And so it's like shutting it off, letting it go. And then I think with confidence, I've worked with like sports psychologists before, and we talk about, you know, different mantras, or like, if you're scared, it's okay. Do it scared, you know? It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be scared. And you can tell yourself, like, I'm going to do it and I'm scared, you know? But I think with competition, I kind of zone out. And those are the races where I run the best. If I'm thinking too much into it and thinking about all of the technicalities of it, it's really distracting, I think.
I actually can relate to a lot of things that you just said, because for us, it's like before the jump, well, before the competition, we're like, oh my gosh, we're thinking about the jumps, I'm going to fall. Or what if I fall? Because you know you can do it. But then like the moment I do it the best is when I just let my body do the work. And then before the jump, I'll just think about one thing instead of trying to control everything. And that will be like the beginning of like the mechanism to just go through it. And I feel like in a way we have like a lot of similarities. We don't realize it because from the outside you're like, you're running, I'm skating, you're like But then when I hear you like share your like tools to get there, I'm like, yeah, there are some common ground that we can all use and help each other with. So it's nice to see how you can handle that. So yeah, thank you for sharing.
I feel like that is such an incredible point, and that's something that so many people aspire to do. How have you, in your journey, focused specifically on success for you, your intrinsic motivation?
For example, like there's a girl in my group, she's insanely fast. She runs the 200, and I could go to practice and be like comparing myself, but it's like, we all have different goals, personal goals. And I think that is most important. And I think when it comes to competing and bettering yourself or your own competition, that's the perspective and mindset that you need to have going into practice, because we're training partners. We're there to make each other better. It's easier to run with people than alone. And so it's like your environment really matters. Like the group I'm in this year is super positive. The energy is amazing every day. So people show up and they want to work. And I think that over time, I really developed that mindset where it's like just focusing on you. And it doesn't happen overnight. I think it takes time to where you know that it's really just you versus you.
True.
And mentally too, like I think that's when we can really tear ourselves down and really build ourselves up. But I think really it comes down to focusing on the right things every day. Like last year I tore my hamstring in January and I wanted to do indoor season, which is January through March. And I was super ready. Like my coach was like, you're ready to run a PB indoor. And I tore my hamstring and I see all these people competing and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm behind schedule. I need to be out there. Like I need to get healthy. And then that last year I went on and had like a huge PB in the summer. So it's just, I might not be there right now, but in 3 months, like you could be in a totally different place. And in 3 weeks, you could be in a totally different place.
Yeah, that's so true. And I still need to go no matter how broken I am, because I worked so hard. I don't want to miss that opportunity. But sometimes that's when you actually miss the biggest opportunity because you are not like 100%. And then you are frustrated. You go into a rabbit hole. And then sometimes you might not get out of it because you are running or skating on an injury. So I feel like thank you for really putting an emphasis on that, because I fell into that trap.
What do you want to say to the other women who you will be seeing in Paris? So not just the track and field athletes. What do you want to say to all of the women from all around the world who will be in Paris with you this summer? Fingers crossed.
I'm really excited to meet people from other sports and really get to know other women from other sports. And I was in Tokyo actually, and we weren't able to watch any events. And so I was so bummed. So now I'm excited. I get to go watch. Like I actually tried to sneak on to the women's soccer bus. I was like, oh, like here's my badge, you know? And they were like, it says like that, like it says your sport on there, and they're like, this isn't, you know, the right badge. And I was like, no, like I'm sure this is the right bus. And they were like, no.
That is so funny because I was also in Tokyo with a press pass. Oh my gosh, I could see I'm embarrassed because my nose was red, and I tried to do the same exact thing, and they were like, no.
Yeah, and I think I'm just excited to meet other women and really like hear their stories as well, because I think it's important where we take inspiration from, and it all translates to outside of sports as well. But that's what I'm most excited about.
Thanks for tuning into Flame Bearers.
If you like what you're hearing, please leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us along on social media for more behind-the-scenes exclusive content on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever social platform you are on. Thank you, and stay tuned for our upcoming episode.